The Tamil Nadu Archaeological Department, in the past 24 hours, has now begun investigations and excavations in an area known as Sivagalai. And you'll have to forgive my pronunciation. I will educate it as we go along in this course of this conversation. The sixth phase of the excavations in Kiladi are also being restarted, as are the excavations in Adichalanur. Now, what you're seeing on your screens is the kind of material that has been recovered there. It has been dated to literally the Stone Age, the megalithic period. So, you're looking at maybe around 1500 BC or so, and is a direct correlation that several sites now in Tamil Nadu are producing some fantastic finds of archaeology that are now beginning to reveal a larger picture. Through the linguistic roots, through the roots that have been found by the archaeological sites, through the trading facts that are now being proven, it is starting to emerge that a Tamil civilization was part, certainly, of one of the, if not the, first grand civilizations in the Indian subcontinent, dating back at least 4,000 years, if not more. Let me begin this conversation by inviting in Abhijit Chavda joining us on the broadcast. Uma Nandan is joining us from Chennai. I also have with us Professor Kapil Kumar joining us, as well as Rahul Iswar. Let me quickly begin with Abhijit. Abhijit, these three particular sites, I mentioned Sivagalai, Adichalanur and Kiladi. Their excavations have literally begun or restarted as soon as the lockdown is ended. How important are these areas?
These are very important areas because, like you said, they give us evidence about the ancient civilization that existed in the south part of India. And it's a newly discovered archaeological site in the Tuticorin district of Tamil Nadu. And it's believed to be actually around 10,000 years old or even older. And it was discovered very recently by a history teacher named Mr. A. Manikam, who stumbled upon these mounds while taking his students for a field visit to this village. And these mounds, they appear to be part of a burial site. And there is preliminary evidence of terracotta potteries, copper jars, bronze utensils, knives, swords, rings, and bowls at the site. So it's pretty clear that Sivagalai is a significant site, potentially a major archaeological site. And what's really exciting is that it's never been touched before. It's never been explored before. And the questions that arise are, was this only a burial site or did it also have human habitation? What time period did this site span? How many centuries, how many millennia? And when was it last used or inhabited? And when was it disestablished? So it could turn up evidence that could throw light on an era of our history.
Okay, so so Abhijit, the initial reports that that I've been reading, I would love to go one day once all this crisis part is over. The initial reports are pointing out that they're looking at about 1500 BC plus minus a bit, and they're showing that look, that there is proof that there was heavy trade going on, international trade was going on from these regions.
Yes, so Sivagalai is about 10 kilometers from Adichalanur, which you also mentioned, which is also another important archaeological site. And there has been evidence, we have found evidence of trade links between, for example, India and Rome at Adichalanur and other places nearby. So there is clearly evidence of a large-scale civilization, of interconnectivity, not just between different parts of India, but also between India and other places in further to the west.
Okay, just stay with me. Let me quickly get Uma Nandan into this. Uma Nandan, it's good to have you back on the telecast, ma'am. It's been hope you're safe and well. It's been a couple of months while we've all been dealing with one crisis after the other. How exciting is it, ma'am? Good news to your ears that these excavations have restarted. And help us with the pronunciations of the three sites, ma'am. Help us with the pronunciations, ma'am.
Hello?
Yeah, ma'am. Help us with the pronunciation because I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. Kiladi.
Sivagalai it is called.
Sivagalai. Okay. Now, what have you understood, ma'am, and why is this important?
See, one thing is, it shows again, Tamil Nadu owes a very, very long history, ancient in origin. It is very obvious. All these findings gather strength into that fact that we are Tamils are one of the ancient civilizations. And the Cholas, see again, this particular place relates very near to the river Tamiraparani, the river valley civilizations. It is close to Tamiraparani river. The direction of Tamiraparani is not there now here, but ancient Tamiraparani has been flowing in that direction. That is one of the major things, and the direction has changed over a period of time due to so many other natural facts. Another thing is, this is near to the port, Thoothukudi. Ancient times, it was called Korkai. Korkai was the ancient port of the Pandyas. So Tuticorin is the actual name today for the same ancient seaport.
Right. Okay.
So it shows that the Pandyas, the Cholas, the Cheras, the three dynasties have been enjoying trade links across the seas, across the eastern countries like Indonesia, Sumatra, Java. The trade links that went on up to China.
Right.
So this is another fact that shows that the ancient and the urns and all that, which goes to show that the Tamils enjoyed a high sense of civilized supremacy over the other parts. I think I take pride on that as a Tamil.
Okay,
So definitely this is going to bring about again light to the fact that the Tamil by language itself was an ancient one, and the civilization we have been very, very ancient as compared
Okay,
to
just
the other
stay
parts.
with me, ma'am. Can I get my okay? So I'm just showing on our touchpad here. Now this is Adi Chanalur, okay, and
Adichanallur.
Adi Chanalur. Okay, ma'am. I'll keep on.
Adichanallur.
I'll keep on working on the pronunciation. Now you can see from the excavation that these are advanced brick structures. You can clearly see here from this one photograph here. I have another one, and these are the pottery. I mean, look at the size of the urns that are being excavated, and this is very near this Sivakalai site. Have a look at this, the size of this of the pottery that is being excavated, and look at this. This is clearly a sign of advanced urban landscapes. Now those are full walls, full complexes that are being excavated. Here's another one of the dig that's happening that you've been seeing on your screens. Have a look at this this particular photograph here. Now these are these huge round circles dug into the ground, which are lined with pottery, or at least clay lined or brick lined. Now absolutely fascinating watching this, and this is exposed. So this was not dug up. This is literally was spotted by people who were walking around in these sites and have found them, and the archaeologists meanwhile have come in. Have a look at this pottery excavation. Now these are all Stone Age. So you're talking about at least 3,500, 4,000 years old that these pottery have already been dated. And look at the size of these urns. They are bigger than a human being. It's quite unbelievably fascinating to watch this, and the level of sophistication in terms of the urban infrastructure that is clearly available there. Let me quickly rope in Professor Kapil Kumar. Professor Kapil Kumar, what a joy it is. I know we are dealing with a lot of crises right now, but glad to see that this is back in operation, and completely staggering. I'm gobsmacked.
You see, Rishabh, the best thing they have done is that they have done a vertical excavation, So the whole site is coming out here. And I'm very happy at that we are moving away from that trend earlier, which was put as horizontal, excavations, that you go to a particular place, find, oh yes, this thing existed there.
Okay, can you just explain the difference to the lay
Because
viewer,
this
sir?
kind of an excavation
Professor Kapil Kumar,
is-
explain the difference to the lay viewer, sir, between vertical and horizontal excavations.
You see, it's like this. When you do a vertical excavation, you are unearthing the whole site, the whole society, the whole civilization there, what existed there as a township or whatever it is. That is a particular thing that you are doing it in a huge area, and you are digging up the whole site out. But when you go for horizontal, this was done by some experts who wanted, my interest is only painted graveyard. So I will go just pick up an area out of it, say by 16 by 16 or by 20 by 20, and go deep into that and go right up to the painted graveyard and say, I found painted graveyard. So painted graveyard exists, that civilization existed there, instead of reenacting the whole site. So this is very crucial, that we have to excavate our also. You look at Dholavira, you see. It's a whole site, whole township, such a beautiful thing excavated and done that. So that is why.
Okay,
this academic-
Professor Kapil Kumar, between now Kiladi, between now these two sites that are currently being excavated, which showing clear signs of at least urban or semi-urban structures, which are at least 3,000 to 4,000 years old. Now, how does this map into the picture of our larger ancient history?
I'll tell you. You see, one aspect is that this archaeological find, you see, archaeology is one source. We have to look into the Sangam, Tamil Sangam literature also. That what is the mention of these areas in Tamil Sangam literature, as our expert, she was mentioning about Cholas and all those aspects related to that. So when you see, exploration is one part of finding a site, then it is excavation, and then there comes a third stage in excavation, which is reconstruction of the site. And on the basis of the finds in that site, you reconstruct the site, how people used to live there, how was the place where they slept, what were their artifacts, how they were making those artifacts, and out of that you are able to. That's why I say it is unearthing the past is one thing, and reconstruction of the past is another thing.
Okay, and we should be pushing it in that direction. Okay, now let me rope in Rahul Iswar. Rahul Iswar, it's great to be able to see that this work is now beginning after the lockdown phase is ended. I am literally gobsmacked by some of the photographs, Rahul. It's unbelievable. The scale of the it looks like literally it's just a few years old. That this could be a building that was demolished just a few years old. How perfectly aligned the walls are, the brick construction, the kind of the pottery that's been found there. Now, for a lot of people in the south of India who long felt that their position in India's history has been ignored because India's history is only measured in the last 200-300 years. So we think the British, North India, we think Mughals, North India, and we ignore the thousands of years of civilization here. How important is it that we now propagate this well, archive this well?
Rishabhji, we are exploring life, what our grandchildren are going to learn in their schools. Maybe we will have a great opportunity to explain to them in our elder age what we really explore, and we could say that we are the people or the generation that was blessed to be in that era where live history worth of thousands of years is being explored. And like Iqbal in Sare Jahan se beautifully puts it, Misr Roma, sab mit gaye jahan se, ab tak magar hai baki namo nishan hamara. The Greeks, the Egyptians, the Romans have perished. We still have a living civilization, a living history, a continuity. These are some cornerstones of Indian history that is being ignored for a British version of history. See, I know I don't have any beef with anyone, but at the same point of time, the colonial hangover of history is still there.
And the Marxists too.
Yeah, exactly. The Marxists, the colonial, the leftist version of history, who wanted to demean Indian history, demean the antiquity and the oldness of Indian history, so that they want to put as if India is something new. See, we are a new nation, but we are an ancient civilization, perhaps the ancient most of all civilization, which has different ethnicities. And what we are discovering is one of the glorious aspects of that, our culture and civilization unfolding. We should rewrite that colonial, that leftist interpretation of history to point out the true versions of history, facts of history, archaeology, literature, and all the modern, Kapilji can elaborate on the modern techniques of history, unearthing the past. So all these things are there, and it is important for the media, social activists to create awareness regarding such things.
What we need, what we need is students all over the country, the north included, to be reading about the fantastic history of the South. And I promise me, if you give me an academic paper, maybe I won't read it. But when you show me the photographs, it is so compelling that you're gripped by it. I was gripped by watching the photographs, and I said we must have this debate here tonight and try to rope in people. Let me rope in Abhijit back into this conversation. Abhijit, there is a very aggressive mapping now happening. At least the excavations are going on, and we have been. That's the third time Rahul Iswar has used that particular quote on NewsX. That means we've had at least those many debates with him on this topic. Okay, so now I'm told that another site is being opened up in Karnataka. where they are also doing some excavations now, and we'll come back and have that debate day after tomorrow. But Abhijit, how do we now put the puzzle pieces together, not just in the academic imagination, but in the mind space of India as a people?
Yes, right. So you're right. We are basically, our country is like a huge jigsaw puzzle. We are unearthing one piece at a time right now. So one piece in Karnataka, a few pieces in Tamil Nadu, and these are all interconnected across time and space. So what we need to do is, we will be able to unearth this as fast as our budget allows. The Archaeological Survey of India has a certain budget. If we increase the budget, we'll be able to unearth it faster. So that's one thing. Now, we also need to bring this into the popular imagination because, like you said, those pictures make a huge impact. So that's why the role of news channels like yours is very important, because I think you're the only news channel that is actually, talking about these things, discussing them and bringing them into the limelight. So this needs to continue. I'm really glad that you're doing that.
No, because I am a communicator. You guys do the work. So, I'm going to try to get the actual archaeologists working out of this. Obviously, for lockdown reasons, my colleagues there in Tamil Nadu are, their travel has been restricted for some time. But communication is my job, so I want to at least fulfill my part of it. But the question, Abhijit, here was this: if I look at the history that I remember, and I've read a lot, if not studied a lot, the small seems to be Harappa Mohenjo-daro, okay. Then it's a bit of a blank. Then you have Asoka, okay. Then it's a bit of a blank, and then you literally mostly think Mughals and British, and then you're into modern Indian history, okay. South Indian history, it's not taught well. It's much older, and it's clearly very grand. So how do we, in the mind space, if as a lay person, everybody is not going to be a historian, but as a lay person, when you close your eyes and you map roughly Indian history and the great sites of India, the great site of India right now is Taj Mahal, okay. So these can be the great sites of India, Abhijit Chavda.
Hello?
Yeah, Abhijit, if you can hear us, yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that was the point.
So
This
you're
can
right,
be a
absolutely.
great side of India, yes.
That's right. Our history is completely disjointed. We have one piece here, the Harappan era, then we have the Mauryan era, with a big gap in between. In the Gupta period, we have certain kings who are considered to be legendary, not historical, etc. So this needs to be set right. And that will only happen once we do more and more archaeology, so that we unearth more pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, which have been missing so long. For example, I read a report just some time ago that this new site that has been discovered, Sivagalai, it is believed to be around 10,000 years old or even older. It's a megalithic site.
Yeah.
So that would push the Tamil history back at least 10,000 to 15,000 years before the present era. So as we unearth more of these sites, as we explore them, as we document what we find, then we're going to start constructing a bigger picture of what happens.
Okay, let me do the most ridiculous armchair archaeology. Putting this photograph on our screens. Now, Professor Kapil Kumar, I'll just open Umanandan. Professor Kapil Kumar, PCR, can we put a touchpad on our screens, please? Now the scale, let me describe it to you, sir. It's pottery, obviously, but it's a jar the size of a man. Okay. Now, obviously, this scale of pottery shows that this is not for home use. It's obviously for trade or for storage of large quantities of goods.
It's possibly a burial urn.
You see,
okay,
it
could be a burial urn.
to
Okay.
What you have found in Dholavira, what you have found in Mohenjo-daro, what you have found in Rakhigiri, These, perforated jars, which are they called, they are even kept for storage purposes, that the air goes into that. This is food storage, and many, analysis has been done on that. What I wanted to say here, Rishabh, is two things, as Abhijit has raised a very valid point in relation to the funds. I have been saying on this channel for a long time with you, in the discussions, that why can't the government create a heritage trust, a heritage fund, in which I will like to contribute.
Yeah, I will also like to contribute. Yes, I will also like to contribute. Yes.
You will like to contribute. The corporate sector will like to contribute, So discover that. And I'll give you one more example. You see, it is not just Tamil Nadu has been ignored. Kamrup, Northeast. I'd like your team to go to Tripura sometime and see how at small places excavations have been done and what kind of idols and what kind of things have been found in Tripura. Recently near Shillong, a full shivling has been found. And the ancient Kamrup, no one has tried to excavate or discover the things over there. Similarly, you look at central India, the Nagvansh ruled there for almost 400 years. Do we know any ABC of Nagvansh? the entire Narmada Valley. So what India needs is massive funds for carrying out these excavations.
No, it's very simple. If there is, Kapil Kumar, if there is national interest, the money, you will find the money.
I tell you how this ideological, as Rahul was saying, affects the thing. Once I went as a UGC expert for giving grants to the Advanced Center in Aligarh Muslim University, Center for Advanced Studies in History. And I posed a question to them. I said, you are a national center for research for medieval Indian history, but why don't you do anything in relation to the medieval history of Tamil Nadu, the medieval history of Assam, the medieval history of the Plateau? Why do you confine only yourself to the Mughal and Sultanate periods? Didn't those regions have history at that time, even in medieval India? Forget ancient India.
Correct.
Nothing will come out of it. And you know the answer given to me was, by Sheen Musmi, you are towing the RSS line. Arey Baba, as a historian, I am saying that come out with the history of all parts of the country, and you are telling me that I am towing the RSS line.
Okay. Let me get Uma Nandan on this. Uma Nandan, here's the problem. Okay, the reality is, if there is national passion and interest to know who we are, you will find the money. Okay, it's about creating a national passion and interest in making sure that this is important. Uma Nandan, for us, as I mentioned today, the preeminent site of anything to do with Indian history, the first thing you think of is Taj Mahal. We should be thinking of, Kiladi and all these other places. How do we change the mind space, ma'am?
See, definitely yes. First of all, I would like to thank that there are no Romila Tapas and Ramachandra Guhas as historians who would much rather say that these apps Macaulay had brought in or Caldwell had brought in, thank God they are not there. Second, as you said, I want to say that always history is Taj Mahal, Fatehpur Sikri, Red Fort. But books, I've never read about my Cholas more than one paragraph or two paragraphs. See, Rahuleshwar's place was ruled by another dynasty called the Cheras. The Chera, Chola, Pandyas, the three big dynasties of Tamil Nadu. The Cheras, the Chera where Rahuleshwar hails from, was part of Tamil Nadu. And their habits, their cultural history is there in other books. I, as a person interested in history, took out of my own interest, started reading books to survive this. That is how I think it is high time you people tell the government that there should be a separate ministry for this alone, for especially the heritage of Tamil Nadu. See, this big temple, the Rasarasa Tevar, that big temple built by him is standing as a live monument today. If you miss it, perhaps the coming generations would not know about this. Perhaps the history would term it as the Christian missionaries who came with
the corrective period. Okay, madam. Okay, ma'am. Just stay with me. Let me get Rahul in on this. Rahul.
So we have the Chola who went across the Gadaram Kondan, the Rajendra Chola.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. Just stay with me. Just stay with me for a second. Let me quickly rope in Rahul Iswar. Rahul. Now here's
Two quick points.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you, Umanandanji, for raising that. See, I don't want to blame anyone, but the reality is, see, Kerala, the very name of my state, Kerala, comes from Chera plus Ala. That means the land of Cheras. But in our textbooks, for some strange reason, this is not being taught. Because, they want to, I'm sorry to say, they want to secularize some kind of a history. See, this is the,
Secularize, not secularize.
Exactly. See, it is our heritage and history. How can we forget the ways we have walked? And please remember, the great legendary Pallava prince Bodhisattva really, changed the way the Mongol race, the Chinese, the Japanese really taught how the world. He is in effect the creator of the entire order of the Buddhist monks there.
Rahul, what do we do? Okay, now here's the problem. Okay, we have a north-south divide. I can tell you, mostly the Mughal emperors in chronological order. I know very little about Chola history because again it was one paragraph when I was studying my CBSE textbook. It was one paragraph, maybe less. So there's a north-south divide. We need to create interest. We need to get funding.
What you are doing. The real solution is what you are doing is a great thing. What you are doing is something absolutely great. This is what we ought to do. What we ought to do is create awareness, let the mainstream media discuss about this. These are uniting things.
Okay.
We are uniting
Okay,
India
let's start.
emotionally,
Okay, let's start
culturally,
this on
heritage-wise.
Monday. Let's start this, guys. Let's on Monday. You know, we did a Umanji. We remember we did a Save Temples campaign. I think that was last year. Let's start this on Monday and come back. Let's do 1 hour every day to hammer this home for at least a couple of weeks, so the message comes across. We are dealing with so many crises right now. Here's a chance for us to, you know, grain our own spirit. I've run out of time, unfortunately. Professor Kapil Kumar, literally 10 seconds, sir. I'm short on time.
Okay, just one thing. You see, we have to look at archaeological survey also, once again, to restructure it, you know. And I want that the excavation sections of that should be totally a separate cadre altogether. Because what
Okay, I tell
they
you.
do in promotions, a good archaeologist, they will put up as manager of Taj Mahal, and his expertise is lost to us. So these conservation, excavation, and managing visitor management at
Okay,
monument,
no,
these are three separate things.
the thing
and we
is,
have to develop separate cadres for that to
the thing
specialize in
is,
these areas
the thing
and
is,
utilize optimally the services of these archaeological experts.
the more first-hand research that you do, and archaeology is that, the less conjecture and theorizing is required. So this is where we need to be spending our energies, rather than doing history books out of history books. That is conjecture on top of conjecture. Now, I am not a historian. All I can do is have a communication medium. So let us put this together, and I'm going to try to devote time from Monday onwards every day, so that we can have some national momentum building on this. I'm going to thank my panelists and all the good people who are doing this excavation work in Tamil Nadu. We'll be trying to reach out for the interviews, but I'm going to thank my panelists for tonight.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.